Downsizers squeezing out first home buyers. Let's have a look. Good morning everyone, I'm Florian Heise and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. I've got my stein of coffee and I thought we'd have a look at this article from realestate.com.au discussing downsizers. It was originally written by James McSmith from the Daily Telegraph and how they are competing and pushing out first home buyers. Now this is of interest to me because a few years ago I was looking at starting a business with some colleagues where we would help people actually downsize on their existing property. If people had a property which they could divide into a standard lot and a small lot, we'd look at moving one house and then rebuilding another or building two properties on there. And that's still a viable thing, and I think it's going to become more and more popular. It's starting to see other businesses offer that level of service. If you're interested in that, let me know, because I might do a video series on it because we've done a whole lot of research. I can tell you every block in Brisbane that could be feasible for this. I've data mined it all, so let me know if there's interest and I'll make some videos about it. But we didn't quite get it off the ground. Our marketing guy just wasn't gung-ho enough. We were probably a tiny bit too early. But we'll see. There's probably still time. So, rise of the downsizer makes the property market conditions more difficult for first home buyers. Well, yes. I mean, I literally went through this with my mother. And, okay, I just, mate, no. Don't wear the tie to there, okay? You need to get the tie going. A little bit, to the button. Wear a jacket. Sort this shit out. Get on the keto diet or the carnivore diet. Come on. Sorry, it's just the tie. Come on, all the way down, guys. And I shouldn't be talking. I'm wearing t-shirts on my YouTube channel. I've stopped wearing ties, but damn, come on, pocket squares. Just ditch the tie, go pocket squares. So, I mean, my mother, going back, my mother is a first or downsizer. So she sold a family home after my father passed and downsized into a smaller place, and I helped her with that process. And she would be competing with her first home buyers or people looking for investment property, but understandably, she was probably in a better position than a first home buyer because she could just offer cash, essentially. It wasn't subject to approval for a loan. So, the course of true love never did run smooth. The same can be said of a first home buyer's journey to making their first property purchase. So many obstacles sit before rookie home intenders in the current market. The challenge of raising a deposit, the exorbitant cost of stamp duty, housing affordability, to name just a few. And, well, yes, guys. Also, you got to remember stagnant wage growth, declining GDP growth, foreign investment pushing up a lot of our housing stock. But yes, yeah. And stamp duty too. I mean, the states are dependent on it now. This is the problem. Every time you put a tax in, the government gets dependent on it. They love it. Current market conditions and a changing population demographic are now conspiring to present another problem: downsizers. Downsizers have emerged as the biggest rivals to first home buyers in a complicated market turned on its head by record low interest rates, shifting access to credit, high clearance rates, and low stock. I question the high clearance rates. I guess trend-wise it is slightly high, but it isn't as high as they're advertising. The conditions are expected to persist through 2020, so those searching for their first home, encouraged by incentives such as the Morrison government's first home deposit scheme, will have to get used to the fact of competing with older generations for the same property. Maybe people need to start looking a bit further out. Previously, it was investors who posed the biggest competition to those hoping to break into the property market for the first time, during years of big gains before the slump almost 3 years ago. But tightened lending restrictions and falling prices put a stop to investors' interest in a market which saw their activity drop by at least 40%. Now cashed-up downsizers, backed by strong capital growth in their long-term homes, have taken the place of investors. But how long? Here's the thing. These downsizers need to find a buyer eventually for their other property. I've got a colleague who has, fortunately, he's in a position where, he's ready to downsize. They've bought an apartment. The apartment's sitting empty until they sell their house. And they don't need to do it, but they're just sitting there taking a while to sell. Some people have to sell. What happens when the buyers for these boomers' houses run out? What happens, guys? Where are they going to keep coming from? Is it going to be investors if they're cooling? Although investor loans have increased slightly. Before the APRA changes, access to money was easy for investors, said Stephen Antico, sales agent with Richard and Wrench at Bondi. Now, haven't APRA have made the lending restrictions easier again? They've eased up. I guess they made it tighter and now they've untightened it. Maybe not as much. They were piling in and buying those properties that first home buyers could afford, but things have changed now. The downsizers have moved in. Mr. Antico recently sold a 2-bedroom apartment in popular Rose Bay in Sydney's eastern suburbs, which was snapped up by downsizers. He expects it could be similar for his latest offering, another 2-bedder at Unit 12, Rose Bay. Downsizers have sold a big house for $2, $3, or $4 million, and if they're looking for something sub $2 million, they find a property they really want, they're going to buy it, he said. Or they could move to Queensland, get something really nice for $500,000, little house. Now, apartment living has become more commonplace. The market is becoming even more crowded. Now, just think about all the issues that have appeared in apartment dwelling or living in recent times. I'll bring up my Google Earth to show just the triangle of fail that we have in Sydney with all of the issues with apartments. I mean, would you buy an apartment these days, everyone? If you were looking to downsize, would you get something new? Would you get something old? I tell you one thing, I would avoid the triangle of fail between Sugar Cube, Zetland, and Mascot. I would avoid that area like the plague. If only just for the contaminated soil, water table underneath, all the issues that's causing. I mean, Sugar Cube still hasn't been occupied. I have to follow it up. But there's contamination issues there. Joshua Apartment, there's issues. Mascot keeps coming back. So, is that going to dampen this? Of course, this article isn't talking about that. Consumer confidence in the construction sector is atrocious right now. Have to dwell on that. And it's not just limited to Sydney, guys. It's in every state and every territory. Mr. Antigos said 2 recent auctions he attended. The same first home buyer was the underbidder to downsizers on both occasions. See, this is the thing. Auctions for real estate, because I'm based in Queensland, it seems quite strange to me. Why would you bid in an auction? It's an emotive environment. It's not a fine work of art. It's just a property. But, I mean, I can see why for the buyers. There was a house literally across the road from mine. It was put up for auction. The fact that it passed in wasn't represented in any of the data online. It's funny that. Now it's still for sale. Still for sale. It's been for sale for weeks. Weeks. Lucky I don't need to sell. Sell our place. This is the thing. Realizing the value of your house. It can be challenging sometimes. It's a lot easier just to borrow some money from the bank. You know? Then if you have to sell to pay off that loan, what's going to happen? So that downsizer is the one you have to beat now, which is very hard for first-time buyers. He said, well, yeah, they can offer cash. They can say 20 grand less, no, pay tomorrow, no subject to finance. How many people would take that, you reckon? If they needed it. They'll take a little hit to get it in quicker. It's like offering a 2% deduction on an invoice when people pay within 2 weeks or a week. So why downsizers first home buyers clash? In many ways, the two groups clash because they are looking at the same things in property. It's a pretty big rivalry, this one, said Ed Brown, principal at Bell Property, Bondi Junction. The baby boomers are coming through. They've done well out of property, and they have cash to burn. In a lot of cases, they have more money and better access to money than first home buyers, and they are also a big market we are selling to. They don't have a ceiling, and that is one crucial thing they have over first home-time buyers. They do have a ceiling because they have to make those monthly repayments. If they don't, they have to sacrifice their lifestyle or worse. Baby boomers are paying out of their own savings, and they will still likely have money left over to do what they want to do. What's tough for first home buyers is they want the same thing as baby boomers and are therefore competing for the same homes. They want convenience, they want easy access to shops, amenities, and entertainment. Well, maybe this younger generation, we just can't get all the same, the same privileges, perhaps. We can't afford them anymore. We can't afford them anymore. Hidden costs the undoing. Here's the issue. Lawyer and property educator Dominique Gruspizia of DG Institute says it is the hidden cost of purchasing a property that can be hardest for first home buyers. For many of them, they don't even know what these costs are. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's a tough situation, and you need to educate yourself on everything that is involved. If you can get it right, it is a great start, but it is a real challenge for young people. You do have to be disciplined, and you do have a plan for the long term, and that's where our instant gratification society doesn't help. Of course, most downsizers have worked hard in life to reap the rewards that come later. That is their due. However, there are steps first home buyers can take to make their purchase. Really? I mean, okay. Buying a property and it going up where you did nothing to it isn't hard work. I don't care what anyone says. I've experienced that myself. My property here, my rundown work at Queenslander has gone up, I think 30% since we bought it? And this is way after we only didn't buy it that long ago, only 4 or 5 years? I didn't do anything. Guys, I'm falling behind in my chores, and with this rain now, it's looking terrible. We cut down a whole lot of trees to stabilize it. I've stripped a wall of cladding, and now I've just got plastic up there. I've repainted just a few rooms. I've removed the dodgy footing. I've demolished a block wall. I've still got to strip a whole lot of external paints. I've got to redo gutters. I've got to repair windows. I've ordered a pane of glass, and I'll do a video on it. But it's becoming a several part series because I'm worried my piece of glass is imported from China and it's getting delayed. There you go. But okay, so just buying property and it going up in value with you doing very little to nothing isn't hard work. I don't care what anyone says. It's bullshit. If you think that's hard work, you have not worked hard in your life. Maybe a journalist, okay? Maybe a journalist who just sits and writes, copies bloody Twitter quotes, sticks it on there. Maybe that for them that's hard work. The hard work is getting into the property the first time. Right now, it's bloody hard because our housing affordability is insane. Hang on, I'll bring this up here. There you go. This. Look at the housing affordability. Let's say from when the boomers were buying from the 80s and the 70s to just 2012. Look at that difference. It's gone up 4x. So it used to be 2 times, 4 times. In the median, it was 3 to over 6.5. So, no. Sorry. Nah. If you started a business, if you built a business from something, earned your wealth from that was hard work. If you worked as an employee in a steady job and just negative geared a few properties, that ain't as hard. Okay? Sorry if I've offended you, but come on, guys, you know it. It's easy. Bloody hell. Once you get in that first step and you just start reaping reward, I could borrow a whole lot of money out of my house and then buy another one now if I wanted to. I'm definitely not going to do that. I want to clear off all my debt. But, yeah. It's like all those geniuses that you see who leverage one property against another. I own 30 properties that the bank owns, and if they all, if 1 or 2 of them drops, I'm screwed. Then I'll go on 60 Minutes and complain that the bank lent me too much money. But anyway, let's have a look at the advice of what first home buyers need to do. The challenges facing first home buyers were outlined 2 weeks ago by the Australian Bureau of Statistics Chief Economist Bruce Hockman. Oh, the same ABS that are just fantastic with their wage growth predictions. Of course, yes. According to Mr. Hockman, the number of loan commitments to owner-occupied first-home buyers fell 0.9% in November, following a 0.4% fall in October. This was the first back-to-back fall since January 2019. That shows a market becoming less conducive to first home buyers. So what can they do? Buying at an auction can be tough, so they should be looking to pick something up off market, Mr. Antico said. So not buying at auction, yeah, well, to me that's common sense. To a Queenslander, that just seems normal. It seems insane to buy a spec house, you know, pretty much a bog average house on auction. It's not special. But even though the real estate agents will tell you your house is special, guys, it really ain't. They also need to change their expectations around the sort of property they're after. They'll need to be more flexible on what their ideal property is, and might need to look a bit further afield and focus on areas they hadn't originally intended to. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, for us, we were looking at a house that needed a lot of work. I think the worst we've ever gone is I think we went 6 months without hot water because the system broke and we didn't want to fix it, didn't want to spend the money. I mean, it was summer. It's summer in Queensland. That sounds a lot harsher than it actually is, guys, but half the time you don't even... I think it was 2 weeks before we realised the hot water system was broken because it was so bloody hot, you never turn it on. But, I mean, come on, let's play it up for the Europeans. Yeah, no, here in Australia we go weeks without hot water. Yeah. Save money. Buy that first home. Buyer's agent, Leon Jarquez, and Cohen Handler said current challenges mean first home buyers have to be better informed and educated than ever and look at left of centre options. It's a challenge, no doubt, because downsizers do have a lot of money, even if they are divorcees. For example, they have that monetary advantage. They may have had to split the money from the sale of the house, but they are paying in cash, so they don't have the same worries as first home buyers. What else? What areas have traditionally enjoyed strong growth? Are there other areas close by that might share similar attractive characteristics that could result in strong capital growth? What's that got to do with first home buyers? You want to find good buys. He said areas to be wary of include new estates, where there's no history of growth performance, and areas in which there was an oversupply of property. Both issues could adversely affect capital growth. Despite the challenges, there remains plenty of opportunities for first home buyers. They shouldn't lose hope. It's not impossible to crack the market by any means. This is useless advice. Don't go to auctions and then be worried about capital growth. Why, if you're trying to get in there, are you even worried about capital growth? I'd say look to properties that are unappealing to people where you can see the value in it, where you can value add to it yourself, where you could do some repair work or renovation, where you have to sacrifice a few things, maybe buy something a lot smaller, maybe a lot older, a bit more run down, a bit further out. Something where your mortgage will be so little you won't even have to worry about it. So if one of you loses a job, you can still keep going. Then build up that wealth. Then if you have to sell that, then go into something else. Maybe a stepping stone. I don't know, guys. Maybe let me know and let everyone else know your hints and tips for first home buyers in the comments below. What do you think? I mean, are people just waiting for a big crash? Will we get a crash here in Australia in property if they just start flooding the country with money? They start printing it with money. Then is the best bet to invest in gold or precious metals, but they're also competent. It's a funny world we're living in at the moment, isn't it? It's a funny world. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Thank you all for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to help us produce more content, there are a few ways you can support the channel. You can share it on social media, get the word out. I really appreciate that. You can also support us financially via Patreon or joining the channel here on YouTube. We have affiliate links with Amazon, eBay, and Independent Reserve. We also have pocket squares we make on the HeiseSays website, and finally PayPal if you want to contribute that way. Thank you to everyone who's supporting the channel and watching the videos. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.